a guy from US living in Poland meet another guy from Russia living in Poland to create a punk rock band? How it happened?
Writing the songs, it's very much a process that we have together.
It's an exchange.
Yeah. The music itself is oftentimes, Ilia will come with something that on the bass, and we put it together. I also play guitar, and so I've written actually some songs as well.
Would you consider yourself obsessed with music and sound, or not really?
And we had a great show at Baza in Kraków. We got invited to play with a really great Polish hardcore punk band.
Oh, okay.
And it was a lot of fun.
Punk music was actually gateway into being politically aware.
Okay.
And my studies that has to do with politics as well.
How is the music culture in Kraków actually? How it is?
Like when we play our songs, we again having a good time and it's proactive. We provide some solution, not just criticize.
Sex Pistols or The Clash? Ramones or Rancid?
For me,
Yeah, Rancid.
How are you guys?
all right.
Yeah, doing all right. Yes.
Yep.
Thanks
These days, that is sunny days in Poland, it's a little bit like strange, right? On these days, on February, having sun in Poland is a little bit strange.
The fact that there's no snow is strange.
Yeah.
This is, it can be sunny and snowy in February, but this is, it's been really dry, which is, actually I worry about that.
Well, tell me more about, who are you guys? Who are you or what are you doing here?
Okay.
It starts.
Amelia?
He's the face of the band. So.
No,
Okay.
I'm the sweaty pants of the band. Amelia, originally from Russia. Don't tell anyone, it's a big secret.
It's a secret.
Yes, I play a 4-string guitar in this band, Abort Deport, and I scream and sweat a lot if we play live.
Oh, yeah. It's a very nice definition, actually.
There you go.
Yeah. What about you, Adam?
My name is Adam. I'm originally from the US. I am the drummer in Abort Deport band. I definitely sweat a lot when I play because I like to hit really hard. And more recently, I also started screaming.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any particular reason why you start screaming?
I never wanted to be the backup vocalist, but our previous guitar player, who was our second vocalist, has left, which puts me behind the microphone for singing backups.
Okay.
And a few leads, I guess.
Absolutely. A few full songs.
Few full songs, yeah.
I guess it's a story of many bands. We never really had a vocalist. We just, got together to play music. As in, I play bass, I play drums. Ricardo, original guitar player, played guitar. And they were like, well, someone has to sing. And then we just kind of,
And that's actually my question for now. It brings me to the question: how a guy from US living in Poland meet another guy from Russia living in Poland and to create
from Brazil.
another guy from Brazil to create not only a band but also a punk rock band. How it happened?
Well, it was by chance, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. You're kind of more of the roots than I came in.
Well, first you can tell me the name of the band. Will be really interesting to know which one.
Abort Deport. We actually did a fun thing. Are we for 2 years? We exist for
2 years. 2 years now. Yeah.
So 2 years ago, when I had a birthday, we all got together and we literally passed the list to all of the people gathered with name suggestions. Like, guys, we need a name. What would you suggest?
But the band was already formed.
Yeah. We just didn't have a name.
We just started.
Yeah. And we actually didn't like any of the suggestions.
No, we did not.
And we just decided to take them apart, and just make a thing of our own. And Abort Deport came to be. Well, Deport, I guess, kind of reflects on the fact that we're all immigrants and, we all used to be non-EU immigrants. And I was about to be deported, actually, when we started this band because I was fired from my job. I was working in the company that name rhymes with London Cock Exchange, and they
That's a very funny name, huh?
Yeah, it was, they're the funny people. They fired me with 2-week notice, and like not usually, always when you're not EU, you have just a month to find another job or you're out. We started the band in this gap, and I remember telling to the guys, "Okay, like it's I really like you, let's play, but let me just make sure that I'm not deported in the next 2 weeks, and then we can continue." So
thankfully you found another job.
Yeah, exactly.
He was not. He was
not deported. Yeah, I think the name that we came up with, which was not any on the list in your birthday party, reflects also the political element of our band. We have political kind of side to it. So these are two issues which are very hot issues: abortion and deportations in Poland, but not only in Poland. I think in Europe and the world. So I think this was kind of like a little bit of a statement. So you kind of know already what you're going to get when you listen to us in terms of content. We definitely address some political issues in our songs.
Yeah,
because you were describing before your music as a voice for immigrants, right? It was like that.
That too.
This too.
That too.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
It was
That's
also
the deport part. Yes.
The deport part, half of it, right? Yeah. How do your songs reflect your experiences as outsiders in Poland? How you do it? Because I guess you both are really linked with the political spectrum on your life, right?
Yeah. I would say we are quite aware in terms of politics, and we are very interested in very similar issues. And Ilia studied in Hungary, in Budapest. I have been in this region for a long time. I also work on issues related to this region. So I think we sit down and talk a lot and discuss politics and different issues, and we agree on pretty much most of everything, I think. So that's how it kind of gets into our songs as well. And writing the songs, let's say it's very much a process that we have together. It's
an exchange.
Yeah. So the music itself is oftentimes, Ilia will come with something on the bass. If one of our guitar players has something, then we put it together. I also play guitar, and so I've written actually some songs as well. But then we kind of exchange and come up with the final product is something that comes up together.
And that's really interesting because it's kind of I think the most difficult thing to create something in a collaboration with someone is to have their own mindset, right? I mean, the same mindset.
Yeah.
And I guess in your case was really easy. You only have to focus on the creation process, which is basically like any other band, basically. You have some idea and then you develop the idea and the lyrics and everything. But basically the most difficult thing, at least in my opinion, is to have in the same mindset, just the same direction, right?
Yeah. When we just started, I remember us sitting down and having this conversation, like, guys, that's going to be a political band. I'm comfortable with that. That's what we have to say. That's what we wanted to say, etc., etc. So from the very beginning, we kind of had it, in our agenda, if you were. So how the band started? Well, at least me. I was playing bass in several bands. Across Kraków, it's always successful.
By the way, when did you arrive to Kraków?
First time 2019, but then I left when COVID started because I just wanted to be with my family, and then I came back 2021.
So since 2019, you were playing of the
21 rather.
21.
Yeah. When I came back, like second time. And so I was playing in some bands, and before I left Russia, which I first left to Finland, Hungary a while ago. I was in a band, in a punk band too. And I'm really used to, I guess creative process of just like, we know what we want to say, and the music is our vehicle, if you wish. And here we are, songs are short, aggressive, and we're there to kick ass. And when I was in several bands here, it never had the same vibe. And I also... And this is maybe how the idea of having something like in your face about immigrants and whatnot came to be. One band I was in, we want to do original songs, but also pick up some covers, to play around bars or whatever. And there was a discussion like, oh, let's pick up the songs that we want to play. And I was like, well, let's do Green Day, American Idiot, everyone knows that. And then the person who's sitting goes like, I don't want to do political stuff. Political stuff, Green Day, for real. He was like, well, I don't want to upset like, you know, Americans or whatever if they're going to be there, and you know, we're also immigrants. I was like, man, that's upsetting, you know. And so after a while, I kind of got sick of it. And also, you know, I miss the environment of a punk band, because like quite often here I would play with people who are, you know, like artists. I just want to, you know, like express my anger or whatever that
Raw,
is. Yeah, exactly. And so I remember this post I put on Kraków Expats that guys like, who wants to play punk rock? Not anything else, not some cock rock, whatever thing, just punk music, you know. And there was one person, just one, who replied. It was Ricardo, our original guitar player. He was like, man, let's do it. Let's play some music. And at that time I got a job in Gdańsk. I was like, man, I'd love to, but I have to go. And for 6 months I was in Gdańsk. Not the most pleasant experience in terms of like working, living, blah blah, but you know, whatever. I came back to Kraków, very happy about it, and I was like, well, I want to play some music. And you know, I was pretty sure that Ricardo is playing somewhere, you know, already 6 months, come on, you know. And I remember I'm just texting him, I was like, man, you know, it's been 6 months, and it's almost funny to text you, but like, if you want to play now, you know, that would be great. He was like, oh, actually, I was not very busy this 6 months, you know, there's this American guy, you know, we can, you know,
that's where I come in,
we can do stuff, and we met in Propaganda. Best bar ever. And that's how it all.
That's history, actually. Yeah. That was 2 years ago, right?
2 years ago.
I think
2
so.
years ago.
Yeah, almost exactly. Yeah. So I mean, just how I got into it.
Exactly.
I played in bands when I was in high school and in college. That was a long time ago. I had probably at least a 20-year break in drumming, which is a long break, but it came back quite easily. So basically, I found out that in Kraków we have these different rooms you can rent.
Because you're originally from Wisconsin, right?
I grew up in Wisconsin, that's right.
So all these things happen in Wisconsin, your hometown.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
And so I haven't played drums. I mean, like I said, I play some guitar, so I kind of been just playing guitar on my own for the last 15, 20 years.
It's bloody good, actually.
But I always missed playing drums. I mean, it was I've played it since I was in 5th grade. So I found places where you can rent like rooms, and they have drum kits, and I was playing, and I was like, I'd like to be in a band again. It's been a long time. So I put this message out again on like, there's this Kraków Expat
on Facebook,
music, for musicians group. I think I put on both the Polish and English side. And only one person responded, which was Ricardo. And he's like, hey, I have this other guy. And I didn't say I wanted to play punk music. I said, I'm a drummer and I'm looking to play with someone, just kind of like jam even. And Ricardo's like, hey, I know this guy who plays bass. We're interested in punk music, but we can play something else if that works for you. And I was like, no, I want to be in a punk band. I just didn't say it before. So when we met at Propaganda the first time, we were like naming all the bands that, were our influences we listened to. And it was like, just the vibe was perfect. I mean, it was, maybe I'm wrong, but there's not very many other people in Kraków, like with that kind of interest that would click with us the way we did.
Yeah, it's something that is a little bit hard to believe sometimes when you think about it, right?
Yeah,
I mean, there's so many things happening at the same time to make it collide to a band, right? So it's very interesting point of view in terms of like, that's what I was telling you before about, you don't need to think about the more hardcore stuff to create music. You only have to think about the creative process, which is like, is a bless. I mean, in my opinion, I think it gives you a lot of freedom and also time to develop better, right? I mean, especially musicians, because you're very obsessed with music. Musicians, yeah. Will you consider yourself obsessed with music and sound, or not really?
I mean, music is, when I, let's say, get my Spotify Wrapped, I'm in the top 0.5% in Poland of listening to music. I have music on from the morning till night. I don't know if it's because I'm obsessed with it, because I also like to have, when I work, I like to have music in the background, even just like jazz or some sort of working music. But I think music is constantly a part of the day for me, probably for you. And then when we get together, I mean, it's just, there's a lot of clicking. It just works.
You mentioned before, I mean, it was Adam, you mentioned it before, I was like, is a challenge of breaking into the Polish punk scene, singing in English, actually. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I think, this is a challenge for us because we are not a Polish band. Obviously, we consider ourselves an immigrant band. That's a bit of also our brand. But there is a great Polish scene. It's a bit more, I would say, on the hardcore side in terms of when it comes to punk music. But you have some really good Polish punk bands that have been, Polish through the 70s and 80s during the communist period. There was a strong punk scene, and then that has evolved through the 90s and 2000s to what it is today. But it's a bit in parallel from what we do. Yeah, so we end up right now. We're playing more kind of in the expat scene, which is great because we are hopefully slowly building an audience and people who like to listen to us. But at the same time, we are missing this Polish element. And we had a great show at Baza in Kraków in January or December. It was back in December where we got invited. It was a bit by accident for somebody we knew. We got invited to play with a really great Polish kind of hardcore punk band.
Oh, okay.
And it was a lot of fun. And we would love to kind of break into that a bit more. And that's the challenge, I think, for us.
Witch Rights is the name. Shout out to the guys. Really good.
They were great.
Yeah,
they were really great. Yeah.
Okay, because Ilia, you mentioned also that your lyrics and your messages that you're doing with the music is very influenced by your political views. Actually, I guess you have very similar, but at the same time, your own political views.
For me, actually, if I may address your question
Sure.
about being obsessed with music, for me, punk music was actually a gateway into being politically aware, into volunteering.
It's very connected with that. Okay.
And my studies that has to do with politics as well. So, first of all, I would say, yes, I'm obsessed with music, but also I almost don't separate those two because to me, when you talk about punk rock and punk ethics, we're trying to build a community here, for instance, that's punk.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're not playing with some assholes. We're just discussing before we start filming.
Okay.
So for me, I don't separate those two things. This is and a lot of my heroes are people who are expressing themselves politically on stage for music. And for me, it's like I have a 9-to-5 corporate here. It's just kind of mind-numbing. I don't need to tell you. So for me, Abort Deport is what I do here in Krakow. That's.
And do you think Poland, for example, is a really good country to use this kind of music? I mean, is it more, let's say, more open to this kind of music and this political message, or is only? Or is it a general tendency, actually?
Aesthetically, Poland is more into metal, I'd say.
That's why it was difficult to find somebody to start the band in terms of at least just the music itself. The scene, people, even if you look at different announcements on Facebook, people who are trying to start a band, either Polish or non-Polish, it's more metal, like black metal or death metal, these kind of, which we are not. So that's a bit of a challenge to get. That's, I think, also part of the problem. Part of we want to build this community around our type of music, but there's not very much about that, or at least in this area. Yeah. So it is a little bit more difficult, I would say. But I think also it's important we should say it's like we're really doing it because number one, we really enjoy it. We want people to enjoy it, and we want, like Ilia said, kind of build a community around it, around the music. And we're not doing it because we think we're big rock stars and and that we are going to make some sort of huge name for ourselves. Yeah, we're doing it more because it's a way for us to express ourselves.
And do you think it's more, let's say, easier to play with the Poles or expats?
I think it's no difference.
There's no difference. No difference.
We would love to get more in the Polish scene. In my opinion, knocking on the door. So.
Well, talking about that, how is the music culture in Kraków actually? How it is?
There's generally a lot going on. But as Ilia said, a lot of it is like metal music. If we think about rock, like let's say rock as a broader, there are a lot of clubs and DJs and things like that. So the music scene is flooded with electronic music, and then if you look at what shows are going on, a lot of it is usually some sort of metal band. These kind of things. And then you have the small kind of expat side of these more
which is
rock
expats
blues
seem,
and-
they're obsessed here with covers as well. Expat people do play a lot of covers. Start making your own fucking music finally. I mean, we have this band that we're playing with actually on Friday, Czerwona Warona, and I think they started with covers, but recently they came up with their original song. It's awesome. It's like much better than, well, a cover. It's just like more life to it. So sadly, like what my tendency I've noticed, at least I don't know if you agree, like expats here, it's just all about just those covers. Or I mean, I would say for expat scene, it's more of a, like a hard rock thing. So whatever is popular-ish. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, we're a bit weird in this way. Like I don't know many expat bands, punk bands. I know one. Garden Groove, right?
Oh yes, yeah. So. That's true. They are making their own music.
Yeah. So saying that, will you say that it's true that in Kraków there is an underground scene?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
Not really. It's so underground.
We're above it a little bit.
Do you mean it's a little bit, is like, let's say, alive, or is something that
very
much alive?
Very much so. I think
you have to look for it, but you'll find it.
Yeah, electronic music more than anything.
Yeah,
actually.
that's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, to be honest, there's like great hardcore bands in Krakow. For instance, there's Defies, and they're quite famous worldwide. They're from Krakow. Really, really great band and stuff. But yeah, it's like, well, yeah, I don't know why we're not like very aware of that. Or for me, it took actually a while to discover all
It's
those
tough.
bands.
Yeah.
Could be anything.
Any favorite place that you are kind of like happy to play or like honored to play in Krakow?
Well, so far it was Baza, the best
Well,
concert.
yeah, Baza was great.
We really want to play this place called Warsztat. We've been talking a bit about it, I think, before. It's nearby. Mostly we play Staccato.
Mostly we play right next door here.
Yeah,
Staccato,
which is okay. And then we play Chicago Bar for Ukrainian charities. Chicago is a bit, it's tiny. Actually, one thing about like the venues here,
they're small.
Very small.
Yeah. So like you get 10, 15 people, and it's that's it. Yeah.
Makes it intimate.
It makes it intimate. Yeah.
We like to give a hug after a concert.
That's really nice. That's really nice, actually. Show some love, right?
Yeah.
Any hidden gem that you found recently, or do you thought that you were like surprised by the place here?
In terms of venues?
Yeah.
Or
Not yet, at least in my opinion.
I mean, Baza, like I had no idea what is to play in Baza, and I was surprised. It's a nice atmosphere there. Again, it's tiny.
But it's
all
like
that is there. Yeah,
basement kind of.
If we talk purely vibes, I like to be there. It was good.
That's true.
Yeah. We should play Propaganda. I love to drink there. I guess we share the same. They do. In the basement. It's very tiny as well.
Let's compare a little. I don't like to compare too much, but I think in this case will be like useful for what we want to say. I mean, if you remember your experience playing in your home countries, how do you think it's different here? Is something that is, I don't know, you miss something, or you think I would like to change something?
For me, I mean, and I think it's just a matter of like time for how long we were playing. But like back home, the scene was bigger, and we used to tour a little.
It was easier to organize shows with bands that played similar types of music.
And
even in the middle of the Midwest where I'm from. I mean, there's like this kind of even genre of Midwest punk.
You kind of kickstarted the whole thing yourself.
Maybe. Well, I mean, when I grew up in a small town of like 3,000 people, so there was nobody there, nothing to do. And so when we started a band when we were in high school, just as we started high school. And by the end of our high school years, I mean, it was like the thing to do was come to our shows because there was nothing else to do. And so we built like the scene. And then, of course, we got to learn, others around us. And like, we were playing in kind of, straight, like building a community and spreading out a little bit. It was really great. I don't know if that is possible actually nowadays, or if people are doing those kind of things. But it was easier to find bands and organize like shows. Similar bands. We play with bands which is great, and most of the bands we play with are really great. But they're a different genre of music. Mm-hmm. So if you're coming to the show to listen to one genre, and then we come up on stage, sometimes we're a little too loud.
Okay. People complain.
We've been literally told you're too loud. So. That's a challenge.
But that's the music.
Why do you invite us? Literally.
Also, Adam, you told me that you have a podcast, right? Is about. I really wanted to talk about this because I'm curious about what is your perspective and idea about if you combine it with the music or is only completely different.
It's completely part of my professional side. What I do in my work. I work on a magazine called New Eastern Europe, and I have a podcast, weekly podcast. So check it out, called Talk Eastern Europe, and we talk about. It's about geopolitics and regional politics. It's pretty much covering what's happening right now, which is a really important time, especially if what we're seeing is unfolding with the new administration in the U.S., the war in Ukraine, all the protests in Slovakia, Serbia, Georgia, all the different countries that we cover. So it's this is like kind of more my professional side, but I've been doing it since 2019, so quite a long time, and I really enjoy podcasting. I think the reason why I actually got into it, to be honest, was because of my music. I didn't do music for a long time, but I always, had weird equipment around my house, like that gathered throughout the years. And I realized that, I have these microphones. I have this little soundboard. I can connect them together. We can just, have conversations. And that's how, the podcast developed, because I had this background with audio, in a way. So that was kind of a bit of an influence, I think, there.
If you have it in you, like something creative you would express, if you don't, it kind of start eating you from inside, that you just have to, you have to put it somewhere, otherwise it's just a mess. And then I mentioned the 9 to 5, that's true. I think it's also works vice versa. Sometimes you get inspired by a little bit of a push from outside. So it's both ways.
Yeah. And our previous guitar player, Ricardo, he was also in a 9 to 5 job, which, as I understand, he was not very excited about. So, that also got, you'll see there's some songs. If you listen to us on Spotify, we have our album, which is called Bring Your Families.
Oh,
so it's related to, actually, there was this Refugees Welcome graphic that was very popular during, especially 2015 time.
Yeah.
And the graphic was a kind of a family escaping from a war zone, and it said, "Refugees welcome, bring your families." Yeah, and so that's another kind of tribute to this topic of migration and refugees, and a bit of our experience of living in a foreign country. Abort Deport, Bring Your Families is the name of our 12. We have 12 songs. Yeah? 12 tracks on, and you can find it on Spotify, YouTube, or
we will put the links on the description box, of course. You will share these things. You're a political scientist, right? How do you see all these things going on in Poland right now? Do you think it's a tendency that is becoming always related with the same stuff, with music, and you see it's a tendency for people to talk more about these things, or you think it's something more like a trend or something like that?
You mean in terms of just political issues
involved, with all this volunteering and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that especially, when the fact that there were elections here a year and a half ago, that the turnout was almost 80%. That's massive. It never happened in Poland's history that such a turnout. It's because people are paying attention, and people are also pissed off of what's happening. Either side. Polarization is also a huge problem in this country, as in many others. But I think people do talk a lot about politics, and it's, a lot of people are worried of which direction things are going, and there are different creative outlets and ways to express also your feelings of what's happening in the society around you. I think that is kind of what's happening right now.
And do you think will be if you wouldn't be doing this music, you will be an angry person, and
I am an angry person.
Are you?
Angry person to begin with.
You're always smiling. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say
I'm
that.
violently capable.
Okay.
I do it with a smile.
Yeah, because we, remember when, I don't know, for example, it came to my mind some directors who are really focused on dark things, but then you see them and they look like my Uncle Ben or something like that, I mean, they were able to kind of like synthesize these ghosts and demons they have inside through their work, right? And they are not like psychos. Do you think punk rock, or the things that you do, the political views, the screaming, as you mentioned actually, screaming, it helps?
It does.
I think so. I mean, if you look at I wrote 2 songs on the album, right? Damage and Time Won't Tell. If you look at the lyrics, like, I'm a really optimistic, happy, smiley guy.
That became a joke.
But the lyrics, I come into to the studio with the lyrics, and they're like, oh my god, this is so dark.
how it wrote this? No?
Yeah. I think when I write songs in the past, somehow there was a dark side that would come onto the lyrics, and I'm not that kind of person in real life. I try to always find good, and I'm quite a pacifist in terms of my approach to things. So it's interesting that we can use that to express a side that we don't normally express, I think.
And one thing I like about punk music in general and what we do as well, we talk about ugly things, right, in our songs, so it's, corpos or whatever, but it's proactive. So it's not that it's like, oh my god, life is horrible, and it's just like lay down and die. No, it's like we are there to do something about it. So like when we play our songs, we again having a good time, and I don't know. So it's screaming, but it's just it's not. I don't know how to put it better. Yeah, it's proactive. We're there to provide some solution, not just like criticize.
Yeah, exactly.
Criticize too.
Let's talk about Poland specifically, about how it is to live here. Do you think it's kind of like is it possible to kind of adapt to Poland without losing your own roots and your own perspective?
I think so.
Yeah, I would say actually. Yeah, I mean, I lived here now. I've lived here for 15 years, so I've been here.
You saw all the evolution, right?
Yeah. I've seen the changes this country has gone through 10 times over, but I still feel like I have a lot of my own identity yet. Maybe it's a bit mixed. My wife is Polish. Our kids are half American, half Polish. So our household is like this kind of mishmash of Polish elements, but also very strong American elements in it. So I think it's very possible, at least from my point of view, to not lose your identity, but to adapt, take in some of the stuff that you really like about Poland into your own identity, and keeping what you want to keep, your roots and things like that. I think it's very, very possible nowadays. I mean, you can live in most cases. I mean, this is my assumption. But for sure in Poland, you can live in a foreign country, and get away with not even learning the language, not not knowing anybody who's local, living in an expat community. Which I think is I think if you plan to stay here longer, you should be a bit more integrated, and that's not just a personal responsibility; it's a responsibility also of society and the local authorities. I think Kraków finally is starting to do a bit more as a city on this. They have some good initiatives like the multicultural center here, which is actually not very far from where we're sitting, and trying to engage more in the expat community to integrate them into the local community. But for a long time, at least my experience, and I kind of stayed away from the expat community for...
Yeah, why?
I just felt that... I mean, no offense to anybody out there, but I felt that it was basically, British people or Americans coming because it's cheap. They can just teach English and have a good time. And only recently I discovered that actually this community is it's much bigger. People who want to put their roots, to stay here. They really enjoy being here and want to learn more about Poland and find their, sense of being in Poland. So actually I was pleasantly surprised when I kind of entered cautiously into the expat community after being outside for many, many years.
It took you some time to understand that, right?
Yeah, definitely.
What changed your mind, actually? You were more like tired?
I mean, to be honest, no, really. I mean, I met you and Ricardo.
Oh,
because, I mean, to be honest, I don't have that many foreign friends in Poland. Most of my friends are Polish. I speak Polish, so I don't feel like I'm an outsider. I can understand everything that people are talking about. So when we started this band with Ricardo and Ilia, it was more like, this is my kind of doorway back into the expat community.
Talking about experience of living in Poland, just to add to what Adam already said, I think Krakow is in a way special because Krakow allows you some space to, go either way because it's very international, better than me. So you can stay with your diaspora, whatever that is. Be integrated with other foreigners. That's what a lot of people also do here, or integrated in the society, which is a nice thing to do. So, I mean, it was Krakow actually that because I left home 2015, so I've been outside for quite a while.
Yeah,
I usually just hang out with other foreigners. That's my. I mean, I was a student most of the time. It's Poland where I started to work, and all that stuff. So you are hanging out with other international students most of the time. But here I kind of reconnected in a way with Russia because I, for instance, support my friend Maria Podrabinek, who's doing so much for Russian oppositional diaspora here in Krakow, all sorts of protests, exhibitions, like educational content,
really
lectures,
In Krakow?
Yes, and they're incredibly nice people out there, and I was really happy to find them. I mean, it was connected to the protests, that's how we met. For this organization called Russians for Ukraine that I used to volunteer with. So Krakow is very interesting, I think, in this regards, because you don't have to choose almost. You want to be integrated and be in touch with your country. There you go. And I think, in my case, I sort of reconnected again with Russia because I never quite liked it back home. It's not a big town. It's not much to do, and people are rather conservative. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, exactly.
But here I did find people with the same mindset. And they are from Russia. So.
Please, I have to ask you, tell me the story that you told me about the word in Polish that you told me that is a really funny story.
Oh, yeah.
Because you speak fluent Polish?
No, I'm learning. I do understand all of it, but I do have some accents that I want to work on and all the other things. I'm taking lessons. Don't kick me out. I'm doing my part. So the story about the word. I go to the movie club. There's this great guy, Pavel, who organized a movie club called Movies with Pavel. Brilliant idea. 1 week we're watching Polish movies with English subtitles, and then every second week there would be movies presented by natives. Let's say you're from Spain, you would present a Spanish movie. So it's like you educate yourself and watch good movies, right?
Yeah.
So I go for one of those events, and there's a movie of Andrzej Wajda. Something is going on in the scene, and everyone is running around and screaming "sraczki," which is, and English subtitles go diarrhea. I was like, well, that's how you say diarrhea in Polish. I'm learning. And the day has come. The diarrhea arrives. I was living at Jubilat at this point, and there was this pharmacy. I've been a few times, and they're like ladies, much older than me, so I wouldn't expect them to speak in English or whatever. Yeah. So I go there, and that's the word I know. So I was like, "Dzień dobry pani, zapraszamy tabletki na sraczki." And then pani goes like, "Na biegunki." And I was like, "What the hell is biegunki?" I was like, "Nie, na sraczki." She's like, "Na biegunki." And we literally start to argue. I was like, "What the hell?" Like, I think, I checked with the translator. It should be all right. And then at some point she's like, "Na biegunki." She checks the pills out, just put it in my hand and just like go away. I was like, okay. I turned around. There was a line of people with like red faces. I was like, okay, something was funny. Probably.
Yeah.
So I get back home and I do my research. So apparently, sraczki is like you literally shit yourself. And then
my God.
Is a diarrhea. This is a normative. So I was there in the pharmacy saying like, hey, I need pills for like shitting my pants, And which I mean, she didn't like, obviously. So, but she corrected me very very politely. She was like, "Yeah, na biegunki, that's what you have." I was like, "Well."
Well, it's a good way to know and remember these words for all your life.
Yes,
totally true.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Totally true. I mean, you, Adam, you speak fluently, right?
Yes.
I mean, how was the journey to speak?
Long and difficult. And to be honest, like. My wife still corrects me. So
Your wife is Polish?
My wife is Polish.
Okay,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. And I make plenty of mistakes in Polish because it's just impossible to be a fluent non-native speaker unless if maybe you study it. But I started learning when I was in college because I came here as a student, and then I met my wife. We Polish kind of always stayed in our relationship. We moved here permanently in 2009, and I did take some classes as well, and then just through, being here, I learned it. Yeah, so I even read books in Polish. So
Okay, so you have this level. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
What is the most punk moment that you lived in Kraków with your band?
Oh, well, it would have been 2 weeks ago.
Do you want to share it?
Yeah, heck yeah, hell yeah. I think it's important. We walked out on a concert that we were going to play.
Whoa.
And we were invited to play. It's kind of last minute because another band dropped out. We didn't know what we were getting into. And the vibe was all wrong. The guy who was kind of organizing it, let's say, treated everybody like shit. And we felt there was like zero respect for any of the other bands, particularly for us. And we said, no, this is not for us. This is not what we're about. So we got up and said, we're not playing. Yeah. And we walked out. Zero regret, yeah? I think we made the right decision.
Yeah.
We weren't even allowed to sound check, basically. Yeah. And we said, this is not what the music is about.
Yeah.
And we, so we shared on social media, why? Because people were asking, where are you? Why aren't you there? We shared on social media also, the whole reason. And we got a lot of responses like, good job, you made the right call. This is
a support.
And a lot of people actually knew this guy who treat everyone like shit, And again, that's the thing. We're all about building a community. Because we do have a scene, but, we like to have more of a, unity. That is. And that was just... It was not only not about it, but kind of against it. There's the boss, managing everyone and whatever. And fuck that shit.
It's interesting because it's surprising for me because Kraków is a very small place. It's a small city. Anything that you do wrong or good, it's actually affects you in the future. Yeah, exactly. So, Ilia, tell us more about these no hate and cooking for homeless.
Oh yeah, I actually go there right after this one.
Okay.
6 o'clock at Ilia.
Okay.
So this is the organization which does cooking and distributing food for homeless. Every Saturday at 6 o'clock, and Ilia Krakowska, we're very international. And that's what I love about it, because first of all, I think to contribute to the community, to the place where you live, and is the best way to connect. You feel more at home.
Yeah,
it just makes sense. And we are again very international, so I think it's also for other side, for Polish people seeing what we do. It's also it's healthy to see us contributing and doing our part. So I've been doing it. 2021, then I left for Gdańsk, I came back, and now I'm engaged as well. They're all great people, and it's lovely to volunteer. Come join us. We always need free hands. We also distribute clothes in winter and all this stuff. I'm just a volunteer, so I'm in no way like a spokesperson for that. But all I will say is that they're great. Please do check them on, no hate, you put it on Instagram.
Yeah. I remember you told me that you didn't have a real grateful experience in Gdańsk.
I would just say that work there was, work environment in the company I was staying with was incredibly toxic. Overtime, blah, blah. My living conditions there were not great. I was living with a person that was making it very uncomfortable for me, let's say. And then its city itself, it's a beautiful city, I'll give you that. But, it's not just one, it's 3 cities, right? So it's Gdańsk, Sopot, Gdynia, And what we have in Krakow is kind of a city center. You go in Kazimierz on Friday, you're going to meet your friends probably, right?
Yeah.
Or in the old town. Yeah. Gdańsk is not like that. You have to choose where you go. So it's like the chance of you meeting someone is, and that made me feel very disintegrated. Like there's no one spot where everyone is kind of getting together.
Yeah.
Immigrant community there. I know great people who are trying to contribute and doing their best. There's like a philosophy club, which is amazing. People just get together another and discuss
Yeah.
philosophic works
Yeah.
or whatever. People trying, but it's not as vibrant as Krakow.
Yeah.
You know, so you feel a little disconnected there, and I just hate it every time I would go out on Friday. You know, you sit and check your watch and like, oh my god, my last train leaves in like 20 minutes. or
Oh my
something.
God, okay,
You know, it's just.
Did you have a band?
We played with. We actually just before I moved back to Krakow. One guy was from Colombia and another one from Brazil. Very nice people, but that actually, I think only drummers stayed in Gdańsk. One moved out, you know, and that's a tendency I also noticed in Gdańsk when it comes to immigrants. Like if you are with family, because I think Gdańsk is an amazing place to stay if you have a family. If you want to settle down, you know, nature, sea, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're like me, you know, single and a bit, you know, crazy, you want to run around and do stuff, might not be, you know, as vibrant. And again, there are so many great things about city, but it just kind of falls apart still. You know? There's a European Solidarity Center many times, which is awesome. They have a great library. You know, everyone's free to go and like stay there and read or whatever. All these initiatives are there, but it doesn't like it's need to be glued somehow together, and you don't feel that it is. I don't know how to describe it. It's just a feeling. You know, I don't know. Like I think Krakow, for me at least, is the place I want to stay in Poland in general.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I agree. I think it has this kind of magical vibes and attraction that you have, that you feel it in not only in your mind but also in your heart.
You know,
somehow.
you know what they told me in Gdańsk all the time when I was saying that. Oh, I came from Krakow, and you know, when I was especially coming back, it's like, oh, say goodbye to your lungs. It's like, you know what? I better be with like, you know, bad lungs than be fucking healthy and bored to death. You know, it's like,
exactly.
you know, I don't want to, stay there and just be healthy and and again, just looking at the wall or whatever.
No, I will say this is a very punk thing to say, huh?
Yeah.
It's a very punk thing to say. I prefer to live here, but with my lungs dirty.
Polluted and funky.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, what's next for Abort Deport?
EP or an album?
Yeah, we're working on new songs actually. We have a new guitar player, our Marcelo. Shout out.
Where is he from?
Portugal.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned, yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So our previous guitar player, Ricardo, also shout out, was from Brazil. Unfortunately, he got a job in Norway and had to leave us. But luckily, Marcelo joined us. Also, I think he had been to one or two of our concerts.
Yeah,
he knew the band and very quickly picked up on the songs. So
He's great.
he's great, and we're working on new tunes right now.
We have like 6 songs.
Yeah.
Because if I'm not wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, you have one EP out, right?
Album.
Album.
Yeah.
You have an album already.
We have an album,
Okay.
yeah.
How it is to promote an album here in Poland?
As best as we can. You know, we put the music online and we, find groups where we can share it, but there's no reactions because algorithms also fuck you up.
We got fairly popular around December, just like that, with Feel of Hatred. On Spotify, right? It was like a huge spike.
All of a sudden there was a spike. I don't know. We ended up in a playlist, I think, for a couple weeks. We had actually we were
on Spotify.
One song, yeah, Spotify was really like getting listens every day. Yeah, it was going up and up and up. So we're kind of like trying to also promote not just in Poland but internationally the music. There are a few sites where you can sign up and submit your songs and maybe they'll pick it up and share it. In Poland, I mean, I don't know.
In summer, we were on the radio somewhere in UK.
Yes.
So we also made a video just to support
Yes. We have a video, music video of one of our songs. It was a lot of fun to make.
Did you shoot it in Kraków?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, it's around here.
Do you think it's kind of like it's part of the evolution of a band, just to start from really, let's say, small gigs and then just growing naturally, like organically?
I guess we would love it to happen, but if it doesn't, we're also fine. Just playing for fun.
In punk music is very DIY. Yeah. So like the scenes itself are okay.
It won't get too popular. It's a selling out.
Yeah.
No. I mean, it's a joke. Of course, we'd like to grow, but like again, we're doing it for ourselves, and I think the feeling in the band mostly is that if it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
We try to, it's not that we just don't want to put anything online or something. We try to promote, but we're not getting crazy about it. We never bought ads, for instance, in any platform or whatever. We're just like, if people like it, and that happened once with one song that we have already, they'll listen to it. Other than that, we just like, and I think if we would have to have money as a band budget once we got paid actually for this concert in Basel, and we spend it on vodka right away.
I would say it's a very, very like a Slavic way to spend your money. Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah.
And we shared it with the other bands.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But if we would have a band budget, I think it would be all spent on music, on sound quality, etc., and not as much, I think, on promo. To be honest, like we're into, because we don't play covers, and I think, I don't know, I'll speak for myself. For me, the creative process, like bringing a song and working out the song together with guys, that's the best thing ever. Like, I love it. If someone would tell me, like, look, you will never going to play live, all you're going to do is just writing songs with those two.
It's worth it.
Yeah. I just like creative process, and I'm not a huge fan of covers. Like, I like to listen to music, but I like to contribute as well.
Any dream venues or festivals?
To play that.
You're going to play at Tauron Arena.
That's good.
Open up for, I don't know, Justin Timberlake or something.
Oh yeah, in between maybe. In between like this kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I do have experience actually with from home like that. We opened for 90s like Russian pop star Shura. Who knows? We'll be quite surprised. People who know will be surprised. But it was in a small town, and apparently they didn't have anyone. There was like a festival. They didn't have many bands or like just musicians to open for him. Okay. They're like, well, if you want to do that, we're like, we'll do it. We'll play punk rock for the guy who performed like in a fur coat.
Oh my god!
And all that stuff. We'll open for that, so it was fun,
Adam, changing a little bit the topics about the expats. I have a question. It's like, for you actually both. Do you think it's correct to use the term expat instead of migrant or immigrant, or do you think it's kind of like?
I think expats actually is it's a terrible term.
I don't like it. Okay, yeah.
Because why do we have to differentiate ourselves from someone who's coming here for the same exact reason, to live and to make a life and to work? We are migrants, and actually our tagline is your local immigrant punk band. Yeah, so we don't use the word expat, even though we have a song called Expat. You don't expect.
Yeah. Well, but that's to make a point.
That's to make a point.
It's an immigrant, not an expat. You don't expect.
So I think both of us agree. Expat.
It's
it's not fair to other migrants to say, I'm an expat, but you're a migrant. We are all migrants.
So we still have this, we are biased by this pejorative way of understanding how it is to move to a country.
Yeah, I would say so.
You mentioned also this is important for you, Adam, to respect Polish traditions.
I think it's, we should not offend our host culture.
Do you think it's normal for people coming here not respecting or not let's say, being aware of this?
Maybe sometimes, I think maybe it's not about a lack of respect, but rather a lack of awareness. People don't understand where they are. And it's not that you have to become a Polish patriot or a Polish nationalist, because there are a lot of dark things about Poland and its past. We can be honest about that.
Everywhere,
exactly.
Even in Spain, we had more than 30 years of a dictator.
Right, we currently have a very dark present in the United States. So, but I think it's important. I think it is important to know where you are and to understand. The people who you are interacting with and their perspective and history also. Just learning the history of this region is fascinating. So
totally.
I think it's worth it, even just for personal interest, to know where you are.
Yeah.
And maybe in a little bit of our age where everything is on social media and people think less about their physical surrounding, I think some of that's a bit lost. And I regret that there are people here who have no clue. This is a building where, I don't know, some major thing happened in the past. You
Yeah,
know?
that's true.
And they don't even know it because they're on their phone with the headphones and don't see what's around them. So I think, that's basically my take on that.
Yeah.
Actually, to add to this, maybe it has to do with the whole expat versus immigrant thing. Like one thing, at least for me, about expats that I don't like, and who are expats? Like your fellow IT dude, probably. Having quite a comfortable life is this patronizing attitude that they have, and I've seen that in Hungary a lot. I've seen that here, and I think this is something that makes people. Turns people away from this expat community, this patronizing attitude. It's not about even not trying to integrate, because everyone is happy about having an IT dude contributing in terms of taxes or whatever here. But this attitude of we bring the civilization, we tell you how to live and what to do. Sadly, I know actually some people like that even in the civil sector and NGOs and whatever, who are here with this kind of mindset, or fake journalists or whatever. Of we're here to teach them how to live or whatever. I think that's the problem. More than not trying to integrate, not learning languages. For me, that's a bit of And I think just maybe also add to this, us immigrants being engaged in a political discussion here, it's also quite healthy. My experience in Hungary, I was part of the student movement called Abort Deport, and we were really engaged into Hungarian politics specifically.
Which is, if I'm not wrong, actually Hungarians in general, students actually are very active politically, right?
Absolutely, and that's what I always say about when people ask me about the difference between Hungary and Poland. I mean, again, I never been a student in Poland, so that might be, my opinion could be different. But when I would speak to people of my age in Hungary, they were very politically active, and they all know where they stand on. They left, right, whatever, And here it's a bit, it's different, I mean, you could argue that the situation in Hungary with democracy, democratic institutions, kicking out the entire universities out of the country were a bit more extreme than Poland and a bit earlier than things started in Poland. That could be the reason, but so I remember again being working and doing stuff together with the International Student Organization in Hungary, and we learned a lot about Hungarian politics, and thanks to our also Hungarian colleagues within the organization translating stuff for us, whatever. And I think it was beneficial for everyone. They love to hear our perspective on what's going on, because it's kind of it's fresh. And we learn a lot about Hungary. So I think it's very healthy for immigrants to have a voice in local politics or whatever that is, because again, you bring perspective, and also you just learn more, I think.
Can we say, for example, this will be a good advice for a newcomer to get more involved?
Absolutely. I would definitely say so.
Adam, you think the same?
Yeah, for sure.
I would like to finish with a section that I do every time I do an interview with someone. Is rapid fire questions for you guys. Very easy, very nice, very, very friendly. Right. Let's see. Okay, first of all, you can reply, each one of you. I mean, I don't know what you want to do.
Okay.
Yeah. Pierogi or kielbasa?
Kielbasa.
Pierogi.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
That's how this band works.
Okay, if your band were a Polish word, which will it be?
Kurwa. I mean, it's a punk rock. The rules different.
Favorite place in Kraków?
Oh, that's a tough one. I used this place is no longer, sadly. There used to be a bar or whatever called Pałun. It was next to Jubilat. And they had a garden inside, and quite often people would bring their acoustic instruments and just play in summer in the garden, like you have beers and stuff.
Wow.
It's gone, sadly, for like a year or so, but it was such a great place. It's like right across the river from Jubilat. It was so good. I hope they open it again. I don't know.
I mean, I love to hang out at this place called Vinogrone, which is on Czarnowiejska and the Ilia. It just has good wine, good atmosphere, and it's very, very close to my house.
That's a really positive thing to be. Okay. Polish stereotype that you found totally wrong.
Oh, I think I put it in a Google form that people are close. They're not at all close. You just need to work on that. Because quite often you would hear from foreigners like, "Oh, Polish are a little bit. They have distance." Not true at all. Just work it out. They're gonna open up like anyone else.
You agree?
Yeah, the grayness. Yeah, everybody thinks that Poland is like this gray, like place. There's no color. There's no life. There's no
Soviet.
yeah,
okay.
which is completely wrong now, at least.
No, yeah.
And in Krakow, at least. I would also add Krakow to this because Gdańsk, some areas are.
Oh, yeah.
Or Warsaw is too.
Most Polish habit that you adopted as yours?
Baking or frying pierogi. Not the frozen ones, the ones you can buy from like Biedronka too. Like they're kind of like pre-made to fry them or bake them. It's the best way possible to have pierogi. Trust me.
I don't know. I mean, I probably half of my habits are picked up from Polish people. Yeah,
you've been here for a long time. So I guess it's difficult to draw the line. Yeah,
very difficult.
Okay, that's a very interesting question, at least for me. Describe Poland in 3 words.
I have one word that just cinema, because Polish cinema is known internationally. But then 2 other words. How about we have 3 words for both of us?
Sure. Okay.
Second word.
Sure.
I would say like actually dynamic. It's a very dynamic place. I travel around the country quite a bit, and even in the countryside, it's if you go to other parts of the region, it's less dynamic, like in Slovakia countryside versus let's say Polish countryside. So for me, dynamic is a very good word.
I have a last one. Dziki. A lot of them. Right?
Dziki.
See, still working. Dziki. The wild boars. They're everywhere. I mean, in Krakow, Gdańsk.
It's like me with geek and geek. Okay, the last one.
All right.
Sex Pistols or The Clash?
The Clash.
Clash, yeah.
The Clash or Ramones?
Ramones, I guess. Yeah.
Ramones or Green Day?
Ramones.
Ramones or Rancid?
Rancid.
Rancid, yeah, also.
Rancid or Bad Religion?
Bad Religion. For me?
Yeah, Rancid. Though both are like on the same level.
Okay, let's say.
Do you have no effects? Make it easy for us, please.
Okay. Rancid. Okay, the last one. Rancid or Bach?
Rancid.
Rancid.
Okay.
I like classic music.
Yeah, me
not
too.
Bach.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, guys, that's all. It was a pleasure to share all these things, all these knowledge that you have, all the experiences, and it was really, I'm a little bit sick, but it's still like I really enjoyed this conversation. And where people can find you, we will put. I mean, you have the Spotify, You have a YouTube music video also, We
have a whole channel with some clips from the shows and everything. So.
Okay, so we will put everything down here where people can follow you. And you have Facebook, you have Instagram, you have something.
We have it all.
Everything. You have the full pack.
We have the yes.
Also, you can find
full
us.
VIPAS, as they say.
Okay, and if people can see you playing, will be the next.
Next show is the 21st of February. Staccato.
Okay, I think it's gonna be a little bit like
Probably will be out after.
Exactly.
So we don't have anything set up after that.
Okay.
I wanted to add you can find us in Propaganda Bar. Also, that's
Place darts.
And I want to say thank you for inviting us. And
thank you so much.
While being sick, man, that's a lot of commitment there.
No, it's fine. Come on,
that's fun.
That's fun. Thank you very much, guys. I hope you had a really nice moment with me, just talking about these things, and let's see how it goes. The best luck, the best wishes for you, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Welcome to the last section. This is the section where I improvise and I want to talk about different things. How is it going in the podcast? How is it going with my other doubts and projects about what I'm doing? And this is completely optional. You can stay with the interview, but if you are curious about how I'm doing things and how is it going with the podcast and the project, so stay here and we will be talking about all these details and ideas that comes to my mind that I want to tell you. The first thing I want to talk is about the updates in the videos. I learned how to do it in a more dynamic way. I understood that it was very important to have some highlights at the beginning of the video, more adapted to YouTube and to the audience, what they want to hear, how is the evolution of the listeners in terms of engagement and how they feel when they listen all these videos and interviews. And I thought it would be more interesting and more dynamic way to start with an intro and then showing to the audience what they're going to listen and see on the episode. It took time. It takes time to make it. It takes time to do as I want to do, because I'm a little bit perfectionist about what I do. But so yeah, as you can see, I changed some elements of the video, and I try to do it shorter. I try to cut, but it is still difficult to know how it's going to be in the future. I have an idea, I have my strategy, because I was writing my strategy for the new guest, who is going to come for the next interviews. I have already like 3-4 more interviews. No, I think 3 more interviews to publish, so they are already done. And I'm still thinking about doing a selection, who I want to talk, what I want to talk about, and all these details that I think it's important. Because as I always say, this podcast is about inspire other people that it's possible to come here and do really interesting things and get your goals and objectives, even if it's a new country, because it's difficult to be in a different country, and especially if you don't speak the language or you don't know what to do, and all this stuff that we all know. Also, I want to talk about the audio. I had a small investment in having the new equipment of the audio. I bought 2 microphones and an audio interface. I'm still figuring out how to use it properly, because the quality sound is not ideal. I'm still learning. I'm still how to improve these things, because it's difficult at the end. The sound and it's a very complicated world. It can be a complicated world, and I'm not an expert, and also I don't intend to be an expert. I don't want to be an expert, but at least having a decent quality of audio, that's one of my goals. So I'm working on it. I still have a lot of things to learn, and but eventually I will manage to do it and deliver better quality and better interviews, because that's the other process, is the interviews. I'm not a journalist, but still it's something that I had some experience before about doing interviews, producing interviews, and all these section of the audiovisual world, and it's very fun. It's very fun. I'm learning a lot and having a lot of new experiences. I'm meeting really fascinating people, and it makes me really happy about it, because that's what I love to do, is meeting with people and talk about their lives and about what they do, their challenges, their stories. And I think it's very, very richful for me, and I'm really glad that I made this the choice of doing this podcast. But still, it's something that I'm doing in my free time, but still I want to do it the best quality possible to deliver better content and better, more relevant content for you, if you are interested in these kind of interviews and see how people live in Poland, because it's a really welcoming country, I will say, at least in my perspective. Well, the other thing I want to talk is about the YouTube channel. I spent quite a few hours learning how it works, the platform, what kind of content, the process, the metrics, on all these analytics. And it's complicated, but it's fun. It's fun to understand much better. I had some previous knowledge about it, but now I'm getting more time. I'm getting more time to understand how it works. And also it's always evolving, changing guides and rules and regulations and different things. Also about music is a nightmare in YouTube because it has a lot of copyright and problems and all this stuff. I made the decision to buy new licenses for music, but still I have problems, and I got claims, copyright claims and everything. So I'm trying to do it step by step, let's say. But it's fun. It's fun to do. I'm talking about social media on all these platforms. I was writing my strategy, which was really necessary. I wanted to do it more deep. Because at the beginning, when I started this podcast, I had some strategy. I wrote some lines about it. I made a small study, but it's always improving. Is always improving. This kind of projects is always has to be open to dynamic changes. So I updated my strategy, especially now focused on social media, and I decided to use at least 4 social media, which is gonna be enough for now, and let's see what happens. Basically, what I chose, the social media I chose was Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, of course. I will do some things on LinkedIn to link the channel, to link the content that I'm doing. And also I give the try to TikTok. I was a little bit skeptical about it at the beginning, but then I was reading some articles and stories about people posting things on TikTok, and I thought, okay, I will give it a try. It will be very useful to create short videos and to promote the content and see how it goes. Let's see how the audience responds and if it's interesting enough to keep it open. But still, it's something that I wanted to do it for some time, but I always was a little bit scared about this social media, this specific TikTok, because it obviously is out of my range. But I think it can be useful to get into different audiences and maybe they will find interesting. But let's see, it's still in progress. And basically, that's all the things I wanted to say today. It doesn't come anything more to my head. Well, I'm still learning. I'm still really happy about the results and the experience. And let's see how it goes on the next weeks and the next episodes. And if you are here still, if you're listening, you're my hero. You are the best. And thank you very much for everything. Thank you very much for all the comments and feedback that I'm having from people. And I will be posting more and more content on the next following weeks and following months. But still, I will be updating more extra content on social media. And basically, that's all what I wanted to say. Thank you very much for staying here. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for all this feedback and the interest. And have a good one.